Welcome to Value Gold, where we share strategies and insights to help you design the life of your dreams. In today's video, we will explore 12 critical strategies that empower you to innovate, optimize, and turn your aspirations into reality. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to ensure you never miss out on these powerful strategic thinking secrets. Let's dive in and discover the first strategy together. 1. Personal strategic analysis. Knowing yourself like never before. Let me tell you about a man named Andrew. He was a mid-level manager in a corporate job. Comfortable but unfulfilled. Every day felt the same. Endless meetings, mountains of emails, and a nagging sense that he wasn't living up to his potential. He dreamed of starting his own business but felt stuck, unsure of where to begin. One evening, while sorting through an old box of papers, Andrew stumbled upon a journal he had kept during college. As he flipped through the pages, he was struck by the passion and ambition in his younger self. He saw notes about ideas he wanted to pursue, strengths he wanted to cultivate, and even a list of things he thought he needed to improve. That night, Andrew did something he hadn't done in years. He sat down and took inventory of his life. He wrote out his strengths, his knack for building relationships, his ability to see patterns others missed, and his skill in solving problems creatively. He also confronted his weaknesses, his tendency to procrastinate and his fear of taking risks. Next, Andrew looked at his opportunities. He realized that years in his industry had given him invaluable connections, and his role had taught him skills he could use in any field. Then came the threats, the comfort of his current job and the fear of failure that kept him from moving forward. For the first time in years, Andrew saw himself clearly, not as the worker stuck in routine but as someone with untapped potential. That clarity gave him the confidence to take his first step, reaching out to a mentor who could guide him. From there, he started mapping out his transition from employee to entrepreneur, using his strengths to overcome his weaknesses and seize his opportunities. Within 2 years, Andrew had left his corporate job to run his own consulting firm, a business that thrived because he had built it around his unique strengths and passions. The moral of Andrew's story? Success starts with self-awareness. When you take the time to analyze your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you create a roadmap for your life. You stop drifting and start designing. So, ask yourself, do you truly know your strengths and weaknesses? Are you aware of the opportunities waiting around you? And most importantly, are you ready to face your fears and move forward? Your future isn't something to stumble into, it's something to create. 2. Strategic vision development. Seeing the future before it happens. Let me tell you about Emma, a young architect with big dreams. She wanted to design iconic buildings that would stand the test of time. But every day felt like a grind, endless deadlines, uninspiring projects, and a sense that her passion was slipping away. She felt stuck, overwhelmed by the demands of the present, with no clear sense of where she was going. One weekend, Emma decided to escape the chaos and take a long hike. As she climbed higher, she noticed something incredible. The higher she went, the more of the landscape she could see. The forest that once felt dense and confusing was now part of a much larger, more beautiful picture. That moment sparked a realization. Her life needed the same clarity. She needed a vision that would guide her choices and give her purpose. Sitting on the mountaintop, she began to imagine her future, not just the buildings she wanted to design, but the impact she wanted to make on the world, the relationships she wanted to build, and the life she wanted to wake up to every day. Emma went home and wrote it all down. She described her ideal life 5 years from now, leading her own design firm, working on projects that combined sustainability and innovation, and mentoring young architects. She broke her vision into milestones, launching her firm in 3 years, gaining expertise in sustainable design over the next year, and starting with one small passion project immediately. Every morning, Emma revisited her vision. It became her compass, guiding her decisions. She turned down projects that didn't align with her goals and invested time in learning and networking. She faced challenges along the way, but her vision kept her focused, reminding her why she started. 5 years later, Emma's firm was thriving. She wasn't just designing buildings, she was shaping communities and inspiring others. And it all began with a clear vision. Emma's story shows us the power of strategic vision. When you know where you're going, every step becomes meaningful. Life stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. What's your mountaintop moment? Close your eyes and imagine your future. What does it look like? How does it feel? Write it down, break it into milestones, and let it guide you. Your vision isn't just a dream, it's the foundation of your future. 3. Strategic environment design. Setting the stage for success. Let me share the story of David, a young graphic designer with immense talent but no focus. Every evening, he'd sit down at his cluttered desk, ready to work on his freelance projects. But distractions always won. His phone buzzed with notifications. The TV played in the background, and his workspace was a mess of half-finished sketches and coffee mugs. Days turned into weeks, and his dreams of building a successful design portfolio began to fade. One day, a mentor gave him a simple but powerful piece of advice. Success isn't just about effort, it's about setting the stage for it. That evening, David decided to take control. He cleared his desk, organizing it with only the essentials: his laptop, sketchpad, and a single inspiring photo of his dream studio. He moved his phone to another room during work hours and set a small lamp on his desk to create a focused, calming workspace. Most importantly, he made a rule: his desk was for creating, not for scrolling or procrastinating. The change was immediate. With his distractions minimized, David found it easier to get into the flow of work. His creativity soared, and within months, he landed his first big client. The momentum grew, and so did his confidence. By simply redesigning his environment, he had transformed his habits and reignited his passion. David's story reminds us that our surroundings shape our actions. When your environment aligns with your goals, success becomes natural. But when it works against you, even the strongest willpower can falter. Look around your space right now. Is it helping you move toward your dreams? Or is it holding you back? Sometimes, the smallest changes, a clean desk, a quiet corner, or the removal of distractions, can spark the biggest transformations. Success doesn't just happen, it's designed. What kind of environment will you create for your future? 4. Resource optimization. Turning little into limitless. Let me tell you about Claire, a young entrepreneur with a big dream and limited resources. She wanted to start a handmade jewelry business but felt paralyzed by her circumstances. She didn't have a large budget, a fancy studio, or even a network of customers. All she had was her creativity, a small toolkit, and a deep belief in her vision. One day, Claire came across a story about a famous artist who began his career with just scraps of materials and a single idea. Inspired, she realized that her resources weren't limited, they just needed to be optimized. So, she started small, using leftover beads from an old hobby kit. She created a handful of unique designs. Instead of worrying about a big marketing budget, she used social media to share her work with friends and family. To her surprise, the response was overwhelming. People loved her designs and began placing orders. She reinvested every dollar she earned into more materials and upgraded tools, growing her business step by step. Instead of focusing on what she lacked, Claire focused on what she could create with what she had. Within a year, her small passion project had grown into a thriving online shop, complete with a loyal customer base and plans for expansion. Claire's journey teaches us that resources aren't just about what you have, they're about how you use them. Your time, skills, and connections can all be multiplied when approached strategically. Instead of seeing limitations, ask yourself, what can I do with what's already in my hands? How can I leverage my network, no matter how small, to create opportunities? What's one step I can take today to build momentum? The truth is, abundance isn't about having more, it's about doing more with what you already have. Claire didn't wait for perfect conditions. She optimized what was available to her and made her dream a reality. Look around your life right now. What untapped resources are waiting for you to use them? Whether it's a skill, a relationship, or an idea, there's always something you can start with. Success isn't about waiting for more, it's about seeing the limitless possibilities in what you already have. 5. Risk and uncertainty management. Turning the unknown into opportunity. Let me tell you about Mia, a brilliant engineer who always dreamed of starting her own tech company. She had the skills, the ideas, and the drive, but every time she thought about leaving her stable corporate job, fear took over. What if the business failed? What if she couldn't pay her bills? The risks felt overwhelming, and so she stayed put, letting her dream gather dust. Then one evening, while catching up with an old college friend, She heard a story that shifted her perspective. Her friend, now a successful entrepreneur, said something that stuck with her. The biggest risk isn't failure, it's never trying at all. Mia couldn't shake those words. That night, she decided to stop seeing risk as her enemy and start viewing it as her teacher. Instead of diving in headfirst, she approached her dream strategically. She began working on her idea during evenings and weekends, using small steps to test her concept. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. She also built a financial safety net, saving a portion of her salary every month to create a cushion. Mia reached out to mentors and joined a startup community, surrounding herself with people who had navigated uncertainty before. Each conversation, each small action chipped away at her fear and replaced it with confidence. A year later, Mia took the leap. She launched her company with a prototype she had refined through countless late nights and early mornings. Was it easy? No, but because she had managed the risks and prepared herself for the unknown. She was ready to handle the challenges that came age. Today, Mia's company is thriving, her once distant dream now a tangible reality. Mia's story reminds us that uncertainty isn't something to run from, it's where growth happens. Risk isn't the villain, it's the plot twist that makes your story worth telling. So ask yourself, what risks are you avoiding? And what's the cost of standing still? Remember, it's not about eliminating fear, it's about acting despite it. The unknown holds your greatest opportunities, but you have to step forward to claim them. 6. Growth and learning strategies. Mastering the art of continuous improvement. Let me tell you about Alex, a marketing professional with big aspirations but a frustrating feeling of stagnation. Despite years in his career, he felt like he was running in place while others were sprinting ahead. He kept learning new things, taking random courses, attending webinars, but nothing seemed to stick or lead to meaningful growth. One day, Alex met a former colleague who had skyrocketed to success in the same industry. Curious, Alex asked him, "What's your secret? How did you grow so quickly while I'm still stuck?" The colleague smiled and said something simple yet profound. "It's not about learning more, it's about learning better." Those words struck a chord. Alex realized that he had been chasing knowledge without direction, collecting information without a plan. That day, he made a commitment to approach learning strategically. Alex started by identifying the meta skills that would multiply his effectiveness, skills like critical thinking, communication, and adaptability. Instead of taking scattered courses, he focused on one major area of improvement at a time. He chose to sharpen his storytelling skills, knowing it would enhance his presentations and marketing strategies. He practiced daily, sought feedback, and applied what he learned immediately. But Alex didn't stop there. He created a system for learning. Every evening, he reflected on his day and asked, "What worked well? What could I do differently? How can I apply today's lessons tomorrow?" With this approach, Alex began to grow exponentially. Opportunities started to open up, bigger campaigns, leadership roles, and eventually an offer to lead his own team. He wasn't just learning anymore, he was transforming. Alex's story teaches us a vital truth. Learning isn't about collecting knowledge, it's about applying it. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens when you learn with intention. Focus on the skills that matter, and build habits that turn knowledge into action. So, think about your own life. Are you learning strategically, or are you just gathering information? True growth comes when you stop chasing random skills and start mastering the ones that create impact. The path to transformation isn't a straight line, but every step you take with purpose will lead you closer to the person you're meant to become. What will you choose to master today? 7. Relationship and network strategy. Building bridges to multiply your success. Let me share a story about Lisa, a graphic designer with incredible talent but limited opportunities. She worked hard, delivered high-quality designs, and met her deadlines, but her career seemed stuck. She often wondered why others in her field were landing big projects and collaborations while she remained overlooked. One day, a mentor gave her a life-changing piece of advice. Success isn't just about what you know, it's about who knows you. Lisa realized she had been working in isolation, focusing only on her craft and neglecting her relationships. That day, she made a decision to change her approach. Instead of waiting for opportunities to come to her, she began building a network that could create opportunities. Lisa started small. She reached out to colleagues she admired and offered to collaborate on side projects. She joined design forums and attended industry events, not with the goal of self-promotion, but to learn and connect. She made it a point to give before asking, offering advice, sharing resources, and supporting others in their goals. Over time, her reputation as someone helpful and talented began to grow. Then, something amazing happened. A former client referred her to a major advertising agency. That project led to another, and soon Lisa was working with high-profile brands she once only dreamed about. Her network wasn't just a list of contacts, it was an ecosystem of opportunities, built on mutual value and trust. Lisa's story highlights the power of relationships. Success is rarely a solo journey. The people you surround yourself with can open doors you didn't even know existed. But it requires intention and effort. Think about the people in your life right now. Are they helping you grow? Are you investing in relationships that matter? Remember, every strong connection starts with one small step, a conversation, an offer of help, or a shared idea. Your network is more than just a tool for success, it's a source of inspiration, learning, and collaboration. Build it with care, and watch how it multiplies everything you achieve. Who will you connect with today? 8. Career and work strategy. Building a life you don't need a vacation from. Let me tell you about Ethan, a hard-working professional who felt stuck in his career. He was good at his job, even great at times, but it wasn't fulfilling. Each day felt like he was climbing a ladder that led nowhere. Promotions didn't excite him anymore, and the thought of doing the same work for years to come filled him with dread. One day, while scrolling through a podcast, Ethan stumbled upon a story that changed his perspective. The speaker said, "Your career isn't a ladder, it's a platform. Every role you take should be building skills, relationships, and opportunities for your next step." That hit Ethan hard. He realized he'd been moving through his career on autopilot, chasing promotions without a clear purpose. Inspired, he decided to approach his work strategically. He started by identifying his career mode, the unique combination of skills, reputation, and relationships that made him irreplaceable. Ethan focused on developing expertise in areas that excited him, like leadership and innovation. He built meaningful connections with colleagues and mentors, prioritizing relationships that would open new doors. Most importantly, he began treating every project as a chance to showcase his talents and grow his network. Within 2 years, Ethan wasn't just climbing a ladder, he was building a career that reflected his passions. He landed a leadership role at a company aligned with his values. And for the first time, work felt like a calling, not just a job. Ethan's story is a reminder that your career is your most important project. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Aligning your efforts with your long-term vision. Ask yourself, are you building skills that matter? Are you forming relationships that will elevate you? Are you positioning yourself for opportunities? Or are you just going through the motions? Now, if you're ready to transform your career and take control of your future, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Here, we share strategies that empower you to design a life you're proud of, one strategic step at a time. Let us know in the comments, what's your next career move? We'd love to hear your story. 9. Financial strategy integration, building freedom, not just wealth. Let me tell you about Mia, an artist with a big dream. She wanted to open her own studio, a place where her creativity could thrive and where she could share her art with the world. But there was one problem, her finances. Mia worked multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet, and the idea of saving enough money to fund her dream felt impossible. One day, while browsing a book on personal finance, she came across a line that changed her perspective. Money isn't just about spending, it's about creating systems that work for you. That moment lit a spark in Mia. She realized she wasn't powerless over her financial situation. She started small, tracking every dollar she spent and cutting back on unnecessary expenses. She gave herself a simple rule: for every dollar she saved, she would put half into an account labeled Studio Fund. Seeing the balance grow, even slowly, gave her motivation. Mia also began looking at her talents as financial assets. She started teaching weekend art workshops, turning her skills into income while building her reputation in the local art community. She learned about passive income and began selling digital versions of her art online, creating another steady revenue stream. Within 2 years, Mia's financial habits transformed her reality. She had enough saved to open a small studio. It wasn't extravagant, but it was hers, a space where her creativity could flourish. And because she had learned to manage her finances wisely, she continued to grow her studio without stress or debt. Mia's story reminds us that financial freedom isn't about how much you start with, it's about how you use what you have. Money can be a tool to build the life you want when you align it with your goals and values. Ask yourself, are your financial habits helping or hindering your dreams? What simple steps can you take today to start building toward the future you want? And if you're inspired to take charge of your finances, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Here, we share strategies that help you turn your money into momentum for success. Share your story in the comments. What's your big financial goal? Let's take the first step together. 10. Health and energy strategy. Building the foundation for everything. Let me tell you about Clara, a young entrepreneur with big dreams and endless to-do lists. She had the drive and ambition to succeed. But no matter how hard she pushed herself, she always felt drained. Late nights, early mornings, and skipping meals had become her norm. She told herself it was all part of the hustle. But deep down, she knew something had to change. One morning, after a particularly exhausting week, Clara met an old friend for coffee. Her friend was glowing with energy, full of enthusiasm for her own work. Curious, Clara asked, "How do you keep going without burning out?" Her friend smiled and said, "I don't work harder, I work with my energy." Those words stuck with Clara. She realized she had been treating her energy as infinite, pushing her body to its limits without ever replenishing it. That night, Clara made a decision. She would stop sacrificing her health for success and start building habits that fueled her energy. She began small. Clara set a bedtime for the first time in years, prioritizing sleep over late-night work. She replaced her usual grab-and-go snacks with balanced meals that gave her sustained energy throughout the day. She even started taking 10-minute breaks to stretch or take a quick walk, clearing her mind and recharging her focus. The changes weren't dramatic at first, but over time, they transformed her life. Clara found she could accomplish more in less time. Her creativity soared, and she felt genuinely happy for the first time in months. Her business thrived, not because she was working harder, but because she was working smarter, with a body and mind that were finally in sync. Clara's story is a reminder that energy is the foundation of everything you want to achieve. Your body and mind are your most valuable tools, and when you take care of them, they take care of you. Ask yourself, are you fueling your energy, or are you depleting it? Success doesn't come from burning out. It comes from building a strong foundation that supports everything you do. Sometimes, the most productive thing you can do is to rest, recharge, and let your energy lead the way. 11. Time and focus strategy. Mastering the hours that matter. Let me tell you about Jacob, a software developer juggling multiple responsibilities. Between work deadlines, personal commitments, and side projects, he felt like there were never enough hours in the day. No matter how much effort he put in, he always seemed to fall short, overwhelmed by distractions and competing priorities. One afternoon, during a break at a conference, Jacob struck up a conversation with a successful entrepreneur. He asked, "How do you manage to get so much done when I can barely keep up?" The entrepreneur smiled and said, "It's not about having more time, it's about protecting the best hours you already have." Those words changed everything for Jacob. He realized he had been trying to cram productivity into every moment of the day, instead of identifying and maximizing the hours when he was naturally at his best. That evening, Jacob made a simple but transformative decision. He would start defending his golden hours. Jacob began tracking his energy and focus throughout the day, discovering that he was sharpest in the morning. From then on, he set boundaries around those hours. He turned off notifications, blocked social media, and prioritized his most important tasks first thing in the morning. The emails and meetings could wait, his best work couldn't. The results were immediate. By focusing his energy during his peak hours, Jacob accomplished more in 3 focused hours than he had in entire days of scattered effort. He felt in control, less stressed, and more fulfilled. His newfound clarity even freed up time for hobbies and family, areas he had been neglecting for years. Jacob's story reminds us of an essential truth. Time isn't just about quantity, it's about quality. Your success depends not on how much you do, but on how intentionally you use your time. Think about your own day. When are you at your best? What distractions can you eliminate? Time is the one resource you can't get back. But by protecting your focus and prioritizing what matters most, you can create a life that feels meaningful and productive. Your golden hours are waiting. How will you use them? 12. Creativity and innovation strategy. Unlocking your inner genius. Let me tell you about Sophie, a teacher who loved her job but felt stuck in a routine. Every day was the same: lesson plans, grading papers, and trying to engage her students with methods that felt stale. She had ideas for more dynamic, creative lessons, but they always seemed out of reach, buried under the demands of her day-to-day responsibilities. One weekend, Sophie attended a workshop on creative thinking. The speaker said something that struck her deeply. Creativity isn't about waiting for inspiration, it's about creating the conditions for it to thrive. That night, Sophie reflected on how she approached her work. She realized she had been waiting for inspiration to strike instead of actively cultivating it. Determined to change, she started small. She blocked off 30 minutes each morning for creative thinking, a time when she could brainstorm new ideas without distractions. She kept a notebook nearby to jot down every idea, no matter how unpolished or unrealistic it seemed. Sophie also began seeking inspiration from outside her field. She read books on art, psychology, and design, drawing unexpected connections between these disciplines and her teaching. Slowly but surely, her lessons transformed. Her students lit up with enthusiasm as she introduced innovative projects and new ways of learning. What had once been a mundane job became a creative outlet that energized her. Within months, Sophie's classroom became the highlight of the school. Her colleagues started asking for advice, and her students' engagement skyrocketed. Sophie realized that creativity wasn't something reserved for a lucky few. It was something she had built through consistent effort and curiosity. Sophie's story reminds us that creativity isn't about luck or innate talent. It's about fostering an environment where ideas can flourish. The most innovative breakthroughs often come from unexpected connections and small moments of inspiration nurtured over time. So, ask yourself, are you waiting for creativity to come to you? Or are you creating the space for it to grow? Whether it's in your career, hobbies, or personal life, your best ideas are waiting to be unlocked. All it takes is a little time, curiosity, and the courage to explore. We've journeyed through 12 powerful strategies, each a building block for designing the life you've always dreamed of. From knowing yourself deeply, crafting a clear vision, and shaping environments that propel you forward, to mastering your energy, time, and creativity, these strategies are your toolkit for transformation. But here's the truth: knowledge alone isn't enough. What matters is action. The moment you start applying even one of these strategies, you'll notice a shift. Life becomes less